In this we will see the concepts of ORM. ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. What does that mean? It means basically how do we map the relational world where the data is in terms of table which has got rows and columns, and then your object world where the data is represented in the form of objects. So that means is that let's say you have got a user table and which has got some rows and columns, let's say some columns like name, and then you have got a class user and it has got a property name. So the idea of ORM is that how do we map these two concepts together. The M can also stand for your mismatch, because there is a mismatch between the concepts that exist on the object side and that exist on the relational side. So we will look into some of the mismatches that exist between these two worlds. So the first one is your inheritance. Let's say on the object world side you have got user, which is derived by employee and customer. So now the question is that how do we map this class structure in the relational world, because in the relational world there is no concept of inheritance. Even if it exists in some databases, it is highly proprietary and not portable. So we'll not get into the strategies that are employed to map these two things, but the idea to understand here is that such a mismatch do exist. Also related to inheritance is polymorphism, because on the object world side you can deal with base class and which can point to a derived class, but there is again no such notion that exists on the relational world side. Then we will look into the notion of granularity. So let's say we have got a table user here which has got, let's say, name, ID, city and country, and for rich domain model we want that these two attributes map to a class user and these two attributes map to a class address. So we have more number of classes against a table. So again there is a mismatch here, and it can happen the other way around where we have less number of classes and it getting mapped to more number of tables. Then the next one is identity and equality. So let's say on the relational world side we have got this user which has, let's say, a row of record mapped by a primary key 100, and this with this primary key we can fetch this record, and it will again with the right isolation level, whether we call it from app1 or we call it from app2, they both will get the same piece of record. But now let's say in our app1 there are two threads, T1 and T2, and we fetch this record and map it to our objects in both the threads at the same time. So we have got here U1 and we have got here U2. Now both are representing the same record. Then the question is that whether U1 is equal to U2, and it may happen that the threads may have changed the states of their objects. Then which one we persist to the database, and how to resolve with these issues. So these are the issues that needs to be taken care of. Then we will look into association. In the relational world, let's say you have got a user table and you have got an address table, and in the address table we have a user ID which acts as a foreign key and maps it to the user. Now whether we want to get the addresses belonging to a user or the user belonging to address, it's a matter of writing a SQL. There is no directionality involved in relational world. Now let's say we map this to user and which has got a address attribute in it. Similarly we have got an address, but there is no user in it. So now with a user object we can navigate to address object, because user has a reference to address, but from the address object we cannot go back. For that we have to explicitly put the reference of user here. So there is a notion of directionality in terms of navigation that is possible in Java. Then the last one is the type systems. The type systems in the relational world and the Java world are quite different. For example, here on the relational world you might have a varchar 100, but here it is represented by a string, but there is the size of the string is basically limited to the memory allocated to it. Similarly, there are mismatches between how you map your time and dates. So these are the mismatches that needs to be taken care of. So these are some of the mismatches that happen in the conceptual differences between the object world and the relational world.